On this day, 14th November 1960, Nigeria joined the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. The move came just weeks after the country gained independence, marking Nigeria's entry into the global community of nations committed to promoting education, culture and science. Since then, Nigeria has worked with UNESCO on several initiatives, including literacy development, cultural preservation, and educational reforms. Now, before I hand over to Emmanuel and Etoma, let's tell you that if you want us to take any story right here on the notable timelines, please ensure to tag us and add trending now on TVC so that we can take some of those stories. Etoma and Emmanuel, you know, when I was doing a documentary on the state of education in Nigeria, I've traveled around a few universities in the country. You get to hear, lecturers mentioning UNESCO's input in the Nigerian education sector. It looks very good at the end of the day, don't you think?
But mine is 65 years down the line. What is the impact commensurate with the time that we have been part of UNESCO? I don't think so. And it's partly because over the years, Nigeria as a country has not taken care of the educational sector the way it should. Look at the budgetary allocation for education, for instance. It doesn't conform with UNESCO's recommendation. So now that we have been there for 65 years, as a country, we should be more responsible to developing our educational sector. It is the bedrock of our development. We should take it seriously.
Taking it seriously, I will also link this to the motion moved yesterday in the House of Representatives talking about WAEC, that we should not go CBT by 2026, that we should be planning towards 2030. Because a lot of young Nigerians were deprived of passing the exams when we cannot even get it right with JAMB exams. You recall the malpractices, the malfunctioning of some of these computers we saw in the last JAMB exams. So for we to get it right, we must key to all these initiatives, things that would definitely bring more development to education sector in Nigeria. Not about the quantity, but the quality of graduates that we're churning out in the country should be able to stand out with any country outside the shores of Nigeria. But in all of this, we hope to see more development in the education sector. And in also the cultural, when you talk about UNESCO, you're not talking education, you're also talking about the cultural values. Also, what are we churning out concerning our cultures, how we can improve all this to better the lives of average Nigerians.
Remember, Emmanuel, I think it was yesterday we took the story of the new proposal by the Minister of Education that cultural language shouldn't be used any longer as a teaching tool. And I was saying, boy, our language is our language.
I want a situation where our language stays. Where our language doesn't go extinct, because it is getting fashionable now to speak English with your kids. Very few of us speak our languages with our children. And for the education sector to help maintain our languages, we can do them as subjects, but not as the lingua franca for teaching. Maintain them as subjects, but not as a lingua franca.
Absolutely, I agree with you, Toma. Let's maintain them as subjects, because when you go to the north, they will teach you how to speak Hausa. When you come to the south, here is Yoruba. When you go to the southeast, you're talking about Igbo. That will also help, because when you find yourself in any society, you should be able to speak one or two Nigerian languages.
That's right.
For me, I can speak Hausa. I may not be able to write it very well, but at least I grew up in the north. So I was taught how to speak and write some of these languages. It also helped, because you never can tell Nelson where you will find yourself anytime.
Right.
So if you want to speak one or two, that is why such things should also be as a subject, not as a lingua franca in our education system. I also agree with Etoma on this development.